What's up? Welcome to episode 145 of Throwback Hoops. My name is Rob Clayton, and I'm joined as always by my boy, Woody V. What's happening,
Hey
mate?
Robbie, good to be here, man. Getting to that time of year where everyone's looking forward to a bit of fun with friends and family. So yeah, it's
Well,
exciting.
mate, summer started the week early, hasn't it? It's really warm in Sydney the last few days. I think it's about mid-30s here. I think the next 2 days are going to be even hotter. So yeah, we'll get through it. It's pretty hot in this room, I've got to say. But no, looking forward to another episode, mate. So just before we get into it, just a reminder, please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your audio podcasts. And yeah, as usual, Woods, we didn't really check who we were wearing this week, so we're both rocking some NBL ones. So why don't you take us away? You're
Sure.
doing a Kings combo by the looks.
I am indeed.
Nice. So Woody's standing up, rocking the Sydney Kings. Number 2. Wow, Greg Whittington. Wow, it's Greg Whittington, right? I got that right?
Hey, Gregory Vernon Whittington,
Right.
right?
That's going back.
Greg Whittington is 31 years of age now. He was born in Columbia, Maryland. He's 6'8". He's a wing. After finishing his college career at Georgetown, he began his professional career by winning a championship in the G League with the Sioux Falls Skyforce. He then went on to play in Australia, Japan, Israel, Turkey, Russia, and Spain. And he even made his NBA debut in 2021 with the Denver Nuggets. Now you'll recall the Sydney Kings went through a period of rediscovering themselves, let's say, after the initial demise of the team, let's say, with the firepower and all the stuff that went through the early noughties, right? So 2008 to 2010, the Sydney Kings weren't in the National Basketball League. So we relaunched in 2010, the most rebellion years, Robbie.
Yeah.
And then, our struggles basically continued from 2010 till basically all the way through till 2018 when Andrew Bogut signed for the team and we returned to the finals. So it was a period of about 8 years where the club was living at the bottom of the ladder, and there weren't many strong imports that you could speak of during that period, right? But Greg Whittington, Perry Ellis, Travis Leslie, there are a few guys that stand out to me that I really enjoyed. So I guess I got his jersey at that time. So this is a pretty old jersey. It's about 8 years old. It's his first.
Was Gazy coaching that season?
He was.
He was. And Kevin Lish was playing, maybe?
Kevin Lish was playing too.
Yeah, right.
You would have had Alex Marek on that team, perhaps. Toddy Blanchfield would have been there. Yeah.
It's definitely a bit of team from yesteryear. And I hadn't realised he made his NBA debut. So that was only, 3 seasons ago, you said?
2021, yeah. He made his debut during that COVID period when everyone was out and there was a lot of outs, right? Yeah.
When Will Magnay made his debut, kind of around that time type thing. Oh, that's cool. He's got that on his resume. And yeah, not a name I've thought of for a while. Honestly, I can't even picture his face right now. I can picture him sort of his game, but I can't quite picture his face. So I might do some Googling that afterwards. So interesting. Yeah, I like that one. So you liked him, obviously, with the Kings?
I liked him a lot. And I followed his career after he left the Kings. It's kind of like one of those blasts from the past. I thought, as I was going through all my Kings jerseys, I found a few random ones. And I thought, why not, right? And I found this hat as well. So I thought, let me combine it. I got to settle down on the Kings jerseys. I wear them too much, right? So we'll give them a bit of a break after
right.
this.
I've got that record of literally every episode and what jerseys we've worn. I've got it in a bit of an Excel spreadsheet. When you see Perth and Sydney, it just goes wrong like that. So no, it's all good. It's understandable. We've got a lot of those jerseys with them being our teams and that. But you mentioned a blast from the past. So that's probably a good segue for me to show you mine. You're going to be surprised.
I know who you got.
Really?
I just have a feeling. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, let me stand up and show you who I'm rocking.
And Robbie Clayton is wearing a Melbourne Tigers Jonny Flynn jersey. Okay.
Is that who you thought?
I thought it was Cam Tragar actually, but yeah,
okay,
cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is pretty random though, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so a little bit on this guy. So this is a Jonny Flynn yellow and 1 Melbourne Tigers jersey. So bit of a strange one. So yeah, Jonny Flynn played only 3 seasons in the NBA after getting drafted out of Syracuse by the Wolves at pick 6 in the 2009 NBA draft. So Woods, this is that famous draft I mentioned fairly recently when I rocked the Tyreek Evans jersey. So honestly, he'll probably forever be known as the point guard drafted 2 spots ahead of NBA legend Steph Curry. And no, that's not a misprint. That actually did happen there. So So look, Flynn played with the Wolves, Rockets, and Blazers before finding his way to Australia in 2012. He then finished off playing a handful of games in China and Italy. His career was obviously cut short due to a serious hip injury. So he's only 35 years of age now, Woods, which is, you think about it, I think that's the Paddy Mills draft, the Steph Curry draft. So there's a few guys still going around, but like I said, he'll forever be mentioned as that guy that was drafted ahead of him, and also Ricky Rubio. So they drafted 2 point guards, Minnesota. They had Ricky Rubio and Jonny Flynn, and they didn't draft Steph Curry there. So
I think DeMar DeRozan might have been in that draft a little bit later as well.
So still a few going there. Yeah. So look, he was a pretty big coup, wasn't he, for the NBL when he signed here? It certainly gathered a bit of attention. High, top 6 at a draft pick there. And his season, he went pretty well. So he earned an NBL All-Star spot. That was the last ever All-Star game played actually over here. So that's pretty ironic. He made that in 2012. He played 18 games for the Tigers with averages of 17, 4, and 6. So pretty solid. He obviously had that hip injury at the time. But what were your memories of Jonny Flynn?
I remember that those stats were deceiving because he came here thinking that he would dominate the league. People don't do that anymore, because the NBL has got eyes on it and people know the strength of the league. But when he came into the league, he came in thinking he was going to dominate. And if you double click that a little bit further and have a look at his 3-point percentage, his field goal percentage, I think you'll find his usage rate was very high and he wasn't very efficient. So I just remember
back to the NBA Woods. So that first season he played, he wasn't too bad for the Timberwolves.
He was great.
He wasn't he wasn't living up to perhaps as high as he was, but he was pretty solid, right? So you wonder if it was all the injury, if there was some other factors there, maybe the work ethic and stuff like that. But I seem to remember that first season. I don't know whether he made maybe an all-rookie
he did. Second team. Yeah, he made the second team. And he also made the All-Star rookie game at the All-Star weekend, right? So I really enjoyed him. I thought that, because the idea behind drafting Jonny Flynn is we're going to stash Rubio for a few years. He's not going to come and help us for a while, so we'll take Flynn. But yeah, what it did though, Childress, Flynn, they came at the same time, right? It really changed the landscape of Australian basketballs, and it said to the world, this is a destination for former NBA players and fringe NBA players to come. So those guys paved the way for others, I would say. Jonny Flynn, Josh Childress.
Is this a nice random one for me to have? I think you probably remember me getting. I don't know if I've ever worn it. It might be the first time it's ever been worn, sort of thing. But at the time, like I said, it was a huge coup for the NBL, and I had to get that Jonny Flynn jersey. So nice one, Woods. Well, a bit of a trip down memory lane for both of our NBL jerseys there, right? A Sydney one and a Melbourne Tigers one there. So I might as well keep with that trip down memory lane theme for card of the week, Woods. So what I decided, I've been flicking between auto cards and my rookie cards that have been graded by PSA. So the next few episodes, I'm going to stick with some old veteran, kind of names from, 80s players, maybe even a little bit earlier there. So I've got one today. I know this is someone you like. So the actual card itself is a Panini Spectra 2023-24 auto card of none other than Michael Cooper.
Oh, sick.
So it's an auto card, so it's number 9 of only 75. So only 75 of these in the world. Nice and sort of sparkly there, good signature there. But Michael Cooper. So tell me what your memories were of Coop.
Just that guy who would go into bat, for Magic and Kareem. Then they needed that guy, right? He was that one who would calm them down. When they needed a cool head. So he often gets forgotten about when we mention those Lakers
really
teams.
Does. 3-and-D type guy back in the day, right? His long socks and that number 21 jersey, I always liked it because Dominique Rocket. So the long socks, the number 21, I think he threw down some pretty decent dunks on the fast breaks of those Showtime Lakers team with Magic, throwing a bit of a no look to him. But you might check if you've got it open, Woods. I don't remember him playing for another team. He might have been one of those players that played his whole career with the Lakers, right? Which they did.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he might have at the very end had one or two seasons.
I know guys like Worthy, obviously Magic, those sort of guys, didn't play on any other teams. I can't picture him on another team.
So he played for our Hawks, didn't he, for a while?
No.
Did he not? Let's have a look. Oh no, he coached in Atlanta, the WNBA, right? So
that's it. No, he had some good WNBA coaching. So he was a
Lakers his whole career. You're right.
So anyway, pretty cool card, right? Bit of Michael Cooper, bit of a flashback. Those might have seen him on that. What was it called? The Showtime Lakers.
Oh, that was awesome.
The doco there. So they had the guy, playing Michael Cooper there. And I like how you got the photo on the back, and as I said, number 9 of 75. So pretty random card to have. 75 of these in the world, and we've got one of them on Throwback Hoops, Wood. So. Awesome.
Yeah, and look, it looks like he coached for ages, from 2000 all the way to
No, 100%.
2017 with the
WNBA
Los
coach.
Angeles and Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
So he's done pretty well in his
Some
coaching.
success there, yeah, for sure. Nice one. Well, a bit of a trip down memory lane for all three players we featured then, Wood. So, well, we're going to get into it. So we're going to start off with NBA this week. I know we normally start off with NBL. That kind of has been our running routine going forward. Obviously, there was no NBL games to speak of, but we'll get a little bit into NBL later. But thought we'd start off with some NBA, Woods. The first topic I wanted to go through is this year's rookie class. So
Yep.
we knew coming into the season it wasn't a highly regarded class, was it? I think a few guys have made some early impacts on their team. So guys like Carlton, Bub Carrington has looked good for the Wizards. Our own Zachary Risachet has shown some good signs with the Hawks. Jared McCain is shining on an absolutely shocking 76ers team. And I guess last week we also saw a massive game from the Lakers rookie Dalton Connect 4. So I guess firstly I'll ask you what your thoughts of this draft class have been so far, about a month into the season. Who's impressed you from that draft class, and maybe give us your early Rookie of the Year leader?
Okay, let's start there, right? It's been going back and forth a little bit, but Jared McCain, the numbers he's putting up right now, and I don't see it waning. The reason
No.
I say that is because you've got that Clippers team without Kawhi Leonard, right? That Philly team, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, that Philly team without Paul George and Joel Embiid's questionable injury history, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's going to get an opportunity to play, and he's going to stick in that starting lineup. I would say Tyrese Maxey's been out for a little bit, and he came in and played for him as well. So you've got these three main guys in and out of the lineup, and he's taken his opportunity with both hands. So I think he'll stick in that starting lineup, and he's my early prediction for Rookie of the Year.
And he's someone that neither of us would have been mentioning at the start of the season, right? It's been an opportunity thing for him, but you're right. He's played against, teams have had a good look at scouting him, and he's still continuing to put up regular 20-point games there. So certainly leading the rookies in scoring. So I'd agree with that Rookie of the Year contender. Who else? I mentioned those other guys. Anyone else? What are your thoughts on those? But, so maybe.
Well, first let me talk.
Carrington.
Yeah, let me talk to you about the rookie class in general. What do I think of it? You asked me that, right? We were never going to get that generational star in this draft, and I think that's been proven correct. But what we have found is we're going to find good rotation players, guys that are going to make an impact in the NBA, right? To mention a few others, you did mention Risa Shea, Dalton Connect, who started recently with Rui Hachimura out, and you also mentioned Carrington, but a few other guys that we haven't spoken about that much. Ron Holland from Detroit, right? This kid's got a lot of talent. I've been watching a few Detroit games lately. 2-3 years from now, we're going to see what kind of player he's going to be. And that's, I think that upside, that ceiling is really high for him. I also got to talk about Stephon Castle. I told you, I said it many times before the season started, that he's going to be the best player in this draft come 4 or 5 years down the track, right?
Him, weren't you? Yeah.
Very high on him. I notice you've picked him up in a couple of your fantasy leagues or one of your fantasy leagues, so you've been following his progress.
Yeah.
He's just a connector, right? He's starting alongside Chris Paul. There's a little bit of everything on the floor. He has that all the tools to be successful at the NBA level. So Stephon Castle for me, and a couple of guys I want to mention that maybe aren't being spoken about as much. The Frenchman, Salon, Tijan Salon from Charlotte.
This
right?
is a deep dive, and I know Charlotte's been one of your league pass teams this year.
Man.
So what have you seen in him?
He's got talent. He can fill it up, and he's starting to play now. He's been brought into the rotation, so he's one guy I've really been impressed by. And also the kid out of Washington. Was it Keyshawn George? Is it Keyshawn George? Yeah.
He had a bit of a slippery last week, but he was really good again today, I noticed. So Monday, the 25th of November, we're recording this. So now that's a decent one. I want to talk about Stephon Castle as well, because he has impressed me. And he's they've had some decent wins lately. They really did. They beat OKC in that game recently. They did, and then they knocked off the
Golden State.
The Golden State, Golden State's like fourth loss of the year. So, and he was pivotal in both of those games. There, he was something I liked about him. I saw in that Golden State game. He had a turnover late, right? What's something I've always preached on our Thursday night team? What do you do if you get a turnover?
Run back on D.
Mate,
Be the first.
Got a turnover. He ran down and he stole it straight off Golden State, and I love seeing that. Right, so that was a big thing that sort of stood out to me. And I'm not a massive Chris Paul fan, but what a great player to learn under in your first season there. And you can tell they trust it. And they're not really traditionally a team, apart from a freak like Wemby, that have played rookies big minutes. I think that's safe to say, but he has certainly been impressive.
And you've got Bassi, you've got Champagne, you've got guys like on the bench. You've got Trey Jones there. But
Yeah.
the coaching staff are like, no, we're going to run with Castle, when they could have easily like chosen one of those guys with more experience to be
Definitely.
in that starting lineup. So
Yeah.
really impressed with him. Donovan Clingan.
Yeah.
I mentioned it in a previous episode. His ability to protect the rim and block shots per minute at a rate that he does is ridiculous, right?
Yeah. The problem is they've got 6 centers on that team, so maybe they need
That's-
to get rid of
that-
1 or 2 of them, like we mentioned before with Duop Brief and that. But no, that's a good call. So, look, it's interesting. You throw some of these names around. Yeah, I don't think any of these guys are going to, be multiple All Stars. We might be wrong there, or household names. But certainly a lot of players that are filling good roles there. Quite a few of those guys we mentioned are starting as well, which is it's pretty good. We're only a month into the season.
I'll tell you what I don't like. Coach Brian Keefe bringing the president in to start ahead of Carrington recently, right?
Yeah, he's dropped a little bit over the last couple of
Yeah.
weeks, but yeah, he was decent again today, so a little bit like George for them. And I think Washington's probably in that thing where they're trying to change, what they're doing because they're really struggling at the moment, aren't they? They're living up to what I said at the preseason that the Sydney Kings might beat them, so they have not been great. The Wizards currently the worst record in the league. There's one team that's pretty close to a worst record, which I might mention a little bit there, but. No, that's interesting, Edward. So yeah, look, I'd probably say McCain as well, and we're talking an early Rookie of the Year leader a month in, so that could totally change. Who knows? I mean, if they get healthy, he might really slide to the bench. They've had a couple of guys that have been a little bit disappointing. I would have thought Philly, and he's kind of stepped over them. Guys like Oubre's been a little bit down, so I think he's certainly looked good.
Some of these teams that are not going to make a run for it, right? It would make sense for them. Like Malcolm Brogdon, I said that he's starting for Washington.
Yeah.
What's that really going to do, right? You might as well
Yeah.
get these young guys to play on some of these lesser teams that are not fighting for a championship or even a playoff spot. Take the veterans out, let the young guys play, I say. Yeah.
Yeah, no, fair call. And what about Reece Shaders finally before we go to the next topic, Woods? He's been a little bit up and down. You expect that from a rookie, but I think he's showing some positive signs.
I think the thing about Risa Shea, he's not trying to get out of his box. He's staying in his box. He's trying to do what he can within his skill set, right?
Yeah.
And he's willing to learn. So the future's bright for him.
No, let's hope so. Well, second topic, NBA-wise, Woods, and I know you're going to be enjoying this one, right? So regular listeners, what is this, our 4th year of doing this?
Robbie,
will know that,
Robbie,
yeah, go. What do you
I
got?
just
for
had
me?
one final thought before we
Yeah.
moved on from the rookies. Okay, it just came to me. Alex Sarr, have you seen him?
Yeah, I mean, he has some nights where he shows some good signs, right? His length's evident there. If he hits that 3, he's important. He can certainly protect the rim a little bit there. Sort of almost a little bit like he was in the NBL. He leaves you wanting a little bit more, I would have thought there. So,
I agree.
And again, possibly not the best situation on that Washington team, but yeah, that's probably the feel I get. You sort of, that was okay, but I want a bit more. Is that kind of your thoughts as well, right?
Yep. Some bad shot selections, but he's
Yeah.
still shown great defensive instincts, right?
Yeah,
So I think
for
he
sure.
just needs someone in his ear.
No, good call. All right.
Sorry,
well, yeah.
interrupt.
No, all good. Well, as I mentioned, this is something you're going to enjoy talking about, Wood. So, 4th year of doing this now. Regular listeners will know you're not a massive fan of the NBA All-Star Game. You've been pretty vocal about that. I think it's safe to say over these last
Sucks,
few years.
mate. Yeah.
there you go. So, there's talk, and I don't think it's totally official yet, but yeah, I'll read you this little format they're looking at changing it, Wood. So, according to ESPN's Shams Sarania, so Shams, is he Indian, Woods, out of
Yep.
interest? He is he?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So he's the new Woj, if people aren't sort of familiar with Shams there. So he's sort of breaking all these stories and that. So what he broke last week is they're looking at making a tournament-style format for the All-Star Game. So this will include 3 All-Star teams that will consist of 8 players on each roster. So if my maths is adding up there, that's a total of 24 players, like they'd normally pick.
Yep.
And then the winner of the Rising Stars Challenge will make up the 4th team in the new format. So, and then basically that format will be the first 2 games will be held as semi-final matchups. The winning team will need to reach a target score of 40. And then the 2 winners of those games will face off in the final, which will feature a target score of 25 points. Honestly, this is a big change, isn't it? It felt like something needed to happen. There's been a lot of people saying you almost could scrap the whole thing off the books and not even play it. Firstly, before I get your thoughts, I'm going to commend the NBA if this does end up going through for at least being bold with what they're doing there. I'm not sure about some of these first to 40, first to 25 type things. It's obviously going to be played over probably one day there, so you need to make them shorter games. You don't want to burn players out there. But yeah, I'll throw it to you. You've been critical. What do you think of these changes?
I think it's a positive move by the association to realize there's a problem. I think it's still not going to make that much of a difference, right? Well, why would you care? Just if you're playing a 48-minute game or a first to 40 game, why would you care? I'll tell you why you would care. Because the big dogs don't want to lose to the rookies. Okay,
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so that game between the rookies and the
That might be the
and
best
the
one to watch, you reckon?
full on players is going to be a
Yeah.
good one because either of them are not going to give anything. The young the young upstarts are going to want to upset the veterans, right? The veterans are not going to want to lose to the young upstarts.
For sure.
So that game is going to be awesome. The problem
Yeah.
we have here, if they get knocked out and it's just played
The
between
final
those
is the
3 8
usual
teams,
shooting
it's just going to be the
half-court
usual shit, right? You know?
Yeah. And the other thing I guess we've got to iron out, Woods, is 3 teams of 8 players. How are they going to pick those guys, right? So, I mean, is that going to be like a schoolyard pick sort of type situation like they've done? Is it going to be names in a hat? So that's something to be interesting to see how they work that out.
I think they've
Will it
still
be
got to
split
stick to the
between
East
conferences?
and West
Well, you
selection.
can't if there's 3 teams, can you? Like,
You still just select 24 from East and West. Once you've
Yeah,
selected the
yeah,
24,
you get a
then you
pool of
determine
24.
the 8 are, right? Yeah.
yeah.
I would probably just pull it out of a hat. I mean, you'd probably want to have positions right, though. You wouldn't want 4 centers on one
Yeah, that's
team and
true.
things like that. So
That's true. So that's probably those things they've got to iron out. Look, Shams is normally pretty good. Shams, what are we going with?
Shams.
So Shams is normally pretty good with these things. So I'd say very likely it's going to happen. And like I said, they'll just iron out these last few things, like how they'll pick those teams. But yeah, let's give it a go, right? That's probably the thing I'd say to people there. It does seem maybe a little bit gimmicky there, but I think quick games. We know people's attention span isn't quite what it used to be with the current generation. Get off my lawn, yells.
I
at
still don't know
cloud
if
in the
I'll watch,
sky.
man. I still don't know if I'll watch.
Well, I think yeah, true. I know you're definitely showing how critical you've been. But look, I'll give it a go.
Yep.
I think it'll be shorter little format games. Might be a little bit more impact there. But yeah, so I thought that was something worth talking about. And maybe we'll finish off the NBA chat, Woods, just with a couple of quick hits, right? So I wanted to start off with a man I know you like because he got his jersey in his rookie year, De'Aaron Swiper the Fox, right? So
Oh, yes.
what a tear he's been on. So for the season, he's averaging 28, 5, and 5 at 50%. He had a career high 60 in a game a week ago and then backed it up the next game with 49. So, look, he's an amazing player. He was an All-Star and third-team All-NBA in 2023. What are your thoughts been on him this season? Could he even go better? Could he maybe go an All-NBA second team and be a lock to make that All-Star game? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. And I think he's taken a little bit of a step in terms of leadership, right? You've seen that with him in the last couple of years. It's been a process over the last few years.
Yeah.
And yeah, look, I'm not surprised at all to see him having these results. I also think that. What do you think of Sacramento this year? How have you seen them?
They're a little bit up and down, aren't they? It feels like they can beat people on their day. Maybe expecting a little bit more from guys like Keegan Murray,
Absolutely.
Red Velvet, Kevin Huerter, those guys maybe wanting a bit more from them. But look, certainly, Domas and De'Aaron have both been playing well. DeRozan's missed a couple lately, but he's always consistent when he's out there. But yeah, I know you were probably higher on him, or you were higher on him at the start of the season. They've been a little bit disappointing, maybe.
Especially Keegan Murray. He's the one person I've been really disappointed in, right?
Yeah.
He's actually regressed a lot this year. And it's
This is
actually
someone
opened
who
up.
hit 12 threes in a game
I
last
know.
year, right? So we thought he would have backed it up, and he's got all the
Yep.
tools, doesn't he? The size, he can 3 and D, but yeah, you're right, he hasn't been amazing.
And De'Aaron Fox has had to pick up the slack a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So his scoring output has increased. Obviously, DeMontis has been out for a little bit. He missed a few games as well. DeRozan missed a few games. So, these opportunities are there for him. But he has a great attitude, Swiper. I love watching him play. He's worth the price of admission. And yeah, I wish him nothing but success, and hopefully we can see him better his previous results, and I reckon make a second team potentially, right?
No, absolutely. And look, that 60 points is obviously an NBA season high. Not the first person to get into 60, so that was pretty special seeing that. And shooting a great clip, which a lot of these point guards aren't doing this year. So, 50% is pretty impressive there. I know we mentioned Charlotte earlier, Woods, and I said you've been watching them a bit. LaMelo Ball joined that 50-point club with his game on the weekend there. Give me a quick little minute on Charlotte. Why should people that maybe wouldn't watch them, why would you sort of tune on League Pass and watch this Hornets team?
Brandon Miller, man, he's just awesome, right? He's awesome. He's like, this team have got all the tools to be successful, right? They've got Nick Richards coming back, and the other center, Mark Williams coming back, right? They've got Diabate playing right now. But they
That
get
Musa
their
guy, right? He's all right.
Musa Diabate, he's awesome.
Yeah.
I've watched pretty much every Hornets game, every Hawks game this year, and
Solid.
LaMelo having that 50
Yeah.
was awesome. I just think if he can stay healthy, right? You've got a guy who's a willing passer, who's a 3-level scorer,
Yeah.
and you put him alongside a guy like Brandon Miller. You've got 2 quality big men in this league. That team has got all the ingredients to be successful.
I'll tell you what, with LaMelo is massive as well. People don't realise he's huge. He would easily be the biggest point guard in the NBA, I would have thought, just
Oh, yeah.
without fact checking that. But he'd have to be, I mean, he has played All-Star before.
Ben
hasn't
Simmons
he?
would be the tallest point guard
Well,
in the
he
NBA.
can't even shoot a shot under the ring, and he's 6'10", so let's not include him. But yeah, LaMelo Ball. I think he's someone that still seems to be a little bit of a punchline, maybe just with his surname there. I think full credit to him. He's looked really good this year.
Oh, yeah.
Field goal percentages are a little bit down, but as I said, a lot of point guards are this year. So yeah, that was a little talk on Charlotte there. I guess the last two topics as well. So wanted to get your thoughts on an early MVP favourite there, Woods. So for me, it's got to be Giannis or the Joker. Joker's had some massive games lately. Giannis has been the one sort of shining light for Milwaukee. Are they 1-2 at this stage, or is there anyone else that you think maybe I haven't mentioned there?
I don't think they're 1-2. I would say that the Joker is 1. These kind of numbers are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And just because he's missed the last 4 or 5 games for personal reason doesn't mean we're going to kick him
He
off the
came
number
back
one.
and then killed it in his first game back too, didn't he? So
Doesn't mean he's going to lose the number 1 spot over that. Giannis, his team they're getting better. Okay, they've won 5 of their last 6 or whatever.
yeah.
He's putting up ridiculous numbers. But let me just give you another guy, Anthony Davis from Los Angeles,
Yeah,
right?
good call. Yeah.
You know, he's averaging 31.3 points per game, 11.2 rebounds, 2 blocks, right?
Yeah.
He's helping his team win ball games. Then we go over to the East and let's look at Jason Tatum, 29.9 points, 8.1 rebounds, 5.9 assists per game, right? So I have those guys ahead of Giannis marginally, right? So I have Joker at 1, I've got Tatum at 2, I've got Anthony Davis at 3, Giannis at 4.
I like the
Shai
Anthony
Gil-
Davis one. Yeah.
Shai
SJ
Gilgeous-Alexander
after
at 5, yeah.
I like the AD one. I sort of was just checking through the stats, and I'm like, man, I didn't realise he was averaging this many points. He's been healthy, like he's a sort of a little bit up and down, but they've had some signs there. But no, that's a good call with AD there, and hopefully his health can allow him to play. Let's finish off quickly. Woods Philly. So at the time of recording, they've got the second worst record in the NBA. As you realise, they've had 3 wins for the season. 2 of those wins have been in overtime, so they could have lost both those games. What is going on? All that stuff with Embiid, getting called out in team meetings, and then did you hear the next game after that? Apparently, he was late to the next game. So I don't know. He just seems to be the guy. His body language is some of the worst I've ever seen watching him this year. He seems out of shape, bad body language, not accepting any responsibility for his part on the team. But what's going on? Is Nick Nurse's job in danger?
I don't think his job is in danger. I think they signed their death warrant basically by picking up Paul George to put alongside Joel Embiid after the questionable injury history Paul George has had for years. They were hoping that Paul George comes into this team and that's going to be a game changer for them. But unfortunately, both those guys cannot stay on the park. I don't think we know the full extent of Joel Embiid's injury. As you said, he looks a shadow of the player he was last year.
Yeah.
He's averaging 20 less points than he was last year. Something ridiculous like that, right?
Yeah. And I believe that the big 3 for them have played 7 minutes or something for the season. So I think when they came back, I think Paul George got injured that game, and then Maxey was also injured that game. So literally they've had no time together. So, I mean, I guess it's easy to be critical when they haven't had the big 3, but as we said, is it a big surprise that 2 of those guys with questionable history aren't playing? So it's a crazy storyline, isn't it? People have these guys as championship favourites, and they're now second last. So look, I'm not ruling them out yet. It's obviously a month into the season. They've got some personnel to do it, but that's been one of the big storylines for me so far. So, all right, nice
The
one.
East
Woods.
sucks
Well,
though. The East sucks. They should
it
have
does
time to
suck,
come back,
doesn't it? Yeah, you're right. It could be easy if you get a run of 4 wins in a row, sort of thing. You're automatically back to that play-in contention. So no, you're right. So let's switch it over to local basketball, Woods, and the NBL. But before we start off with NBL, I wanted to quickly ask you about the 2 FIBA games that we saw. So of course, Australia travelled to Thailand and then to Korea. Obviously, the Thailand game was special for me to watch, as we sort of mentioned last week with the Thai connection in my family there. So I guess I'll start off with that one there. So the Boomers beat Thailand 101-48. So Thailand were actually up at quarter time in that game, which was pretty amazing. The Boomers were a little bit sluggish. And look, the Boomers got that win behind red hot shooting from Chris Golding, 27 points on 9 of 14 threes. Yeah, he was amazing. DJ 14, Henschel 10, so that was pretty impressive. Was that the game you watched? I know you've watched.
Yeah, I watched that game. Yeah,
so give me some thoughts on that one, then I'll give some thoughts on the career.
Well, it was nice to see some of these youngsters represent Australia in the green and gold for the first time, and the first quarter was very, very competitive.
Yeah.
But obviously, for these lesser teams, I think it's the 88th ranked team in the world against the 7th ranked team in the world.
Yeah.
You see that, for short periods they can maybe run with the better teams, but over a 40-minute game, obviously the better team is going to always win when there's such a difference in the quality. But I enjoyed it, and it's good to see these lesser countries get the opportunity to compete against some legends of the game, I guess.
That crowd in Bangkok were into it, weren't they? The court
Yeah, they were.
and everything else like that. Something that's pretty interesting that I found out from the NBL One coaching wood. So Jacob Furphy made his debut in that.
I saw that.
So
yeah.
Jacob Furphy and Jonny Furphy were playing on that COE team that I commentated. So you just assume that they're brothers, right? You don't see that name very often. No relation at all. So I remember I was really surprised by that. I was just like, oh, these guys brothers? No. I asked the coaching staff, no relation at all. So that's pretty interesting fact.
Furphy's a very odd name as well, right?
It's definitely a bit of an Irish name. It's a beer brand.
It's a beer,
yeah. Yeah, that's right. So that was an interesting fact. But yeah, and then in the second game, so the Boomers beat Korea. It's in a closer game. That was 98-75. So that game was tied at quarter time. So again, the Boomers came out a little bit sluggish. Korea weren't bad, right? They had some guys that were pretty decent. Obviously, they're a lot higher ranked than Thailand there. So yeah, 23-point victory. CG43 had a pretty quiet game again there, Wood. So 10 of 16 3-pointers to end up with 31 points. So let's just rewind that back, right? So in those two games that the Boomers have played, CG has gone for 27 points and 31 points, and he's hit 19 3-pointers in two games. And if we're going on percentages there, so that's 19 of 30. 19 of 30 3-pointers. That is incredible, right? So he was just a joy to watch in that game, right? I sort of joked in our group chat yesterday, is it too late for an NBA call-up? I mean, this guy is on fire at the moment. You could put him on, he'd probably hit 9 threes in an NBA game. But how impressive is CG at his age?
Awesome. And he at 36, right? We could have basically sent anyone and we would have won those games.
Yeah.
But he still wants to represent his country. Even if it's in a FIBA Asia Cup qualifier contest, at 36, he wants to turn up, get on that flight with the young boys, be that veteran in the locker room. And I think that trip would have been good for some of the youngsters to rub shoulders with the likes of Chris Golding as well.
It was a good mix of players, seeing Big Rocco go out there. Also, shout-outs to your boy Nick Kay, was pretty solid in that second game, Woods, and also Ben Henschel. So I mentioned him in the first game. I think he had something like 16 points, 10 rebounds. So that was, good for me to see as a Wildcats fan. I always like to see the progression that Henschel was showing, and he's definitely a chance of getting drafted next year. So, I was looking at that team. Rocco's a lock to get drafted. Henschel could get drafted. We know Alex Tui wasn't on that team, but he seems to be a lock to get drafted. So a lot to look forward to for next season's NBA draft.
Sure.
But yeah, so good for the Boomers, and they've now qualified as well. So that was good, sort of getting those 2 wins there. So, all right, well, let's get into some NBL, Wood. So, as we mentioned, no games at that FIBA break, but we're back on this week. It's a big round as well, so 7 games across 4 days. So, the games are starting again Thursday this week. So, maybe read out those games for us, and maybe we'll give a couple of quick thoughts.
Sure, let's start off on Thursday night. We're back in action with the NBL after the FIBA break, as you mentioned. And we got Illawarra taking on the New Zealand Breakers. Who you got there?
Look, New Zealand have been in decent form, haven't they? Taco Fall, I think, still going to be out, for maybe a week or two. But I'd say Illawarra will take care of business at that one.
I'll agree with you. At home as well on a Thursday night. Cairns versus Sydney on Friday.
Teams.
Yep. What do you got?
I'd say Sydney fairly easily. Cairns are worrying me a little bit now. The injuries, just, some of those guys aren't looking great there. But I can't see that one being close. Can you?
No. And I mean, after the FIBA break, the Sydney Kings would have obviously fine-tuned a few things, so I expect them to come out ready to go. Okay, your Perth Wildcats on that late game on Friday night. My Christmas party actually finishes at 9:30 on Friday night in the city, so I can get on the bus and watch your Wildcats take on the Bullets on that Friday night.
You're telling me you're not going to party after your Christmas party at 9:30 on a Friday night?
No, I'm not going to.
Really? That's impressive. We know how this is going to go, Woods. Perth will win at home and get a good win, and then whoever they play next on the road, they'll lose and they'll give up 40 points in a career high to someone. So, yeah, I like Perth in that one. Obviously, they've had a bit of scouting to do after that last game against Brisbane, but I hope they come out and actually play some defense with some intensity there, and I think they will get this win at home.
I was going to say, they get an opportunity to face up against James Bateman again. Hopefully they've adjusted accordingly. All right, let's move to Saturday. We've got a 5:30 kickoff with the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix taking on the Illawarra Hawks. I'm going to go with the Illawarra Hawks to win both games this week, man.
Okay, that's a big game. It's not a bad game on paper, isn't it? Yeah, I think Walton should be, probably a bit more healthy for this game too, right? I know that was... they've missed him for these last few games there. So I like this game on paper. I think Illawarra, you're right, will get the win. But this could be a closer one than maybe what people might think.
Definitely agree. All right, we got the second game on the Saturday, which is Adelaide, Tasmania. Now it
Hey,
remains to be
speaking of
seen.
that, yeah, what's going on with this tribunal stuff, Woods?
Today it got adjourned to today, so we should have results by this time tomorrow, right? Yeah.
Interesting. Well, there's no way Trez will be playing this game. I think by the sounds of some of the charges and the way they're talking about it, a lot of controversy on this whole topic. Woods, you know, see some of the stuff on social media. People aren't happy, right? I know there's been talk that people do think Melbourne are maybe a little bit favoured over there, but there's a lot of people really angry about what's taking place there. But I guess we've got to let justice do its do cause there and just see what happens with this tribunal, and then we can talk about it a bit more next week. But yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it?
Tassie's on a bit of a roll, and if they've got guys out, I'm going to give this to Tassie
I'm going to say Tassie as well. I'm going to agree with you there. Yeah.
All right, we got Melbourne versus Sydney at John Cain.
It's a big one.
Yeah, I can't see my Kings going there and
so
winning, mate.
the road trip for Sydney, isn't it? Yeah, look, I'd say Melbourne will win this game. Looking forward to this. It's the first kick-off on Sunday there. So yeah,
Sunday at 2:30.
Yeah, hopefully in a good game this one, yeah.
And then we got Perth versus New Zealand to close out the round.
So it's actually the double one at home for Perth. That gives me a little bit more promise there. So, look, Perth need to win these games, right? You're playing against Brisbane, you're playing against New Zealand on your home court. I feel like the team's a little bit more healthy now. Windler's more healthy, Bryce is back. So I'll be disappointed if they didn't win both of these, and I'm going to say they will win both of those at home.
Yep. What I'd like to see actually from your Wildcats, from one of your Wildcats specifically, is a little bit more consistency from Dylan Windler. Right?
Yeah,
he can come in one day, have a great game, the next day he can put up a donut, right?
Yeah.
Let's see some consistency from him, yeah?
Yeah, cool. Now, looking forward to this round, Woods. Didn't it feel strange last weekend with no games on? It was like Friday night, it's like, oh no, there's no games on. Then Saturday night, it kind of did the same thing. And had a couple of FIBA games to get the interest there, but it was a bit strange, wasn't it?
I had my void filled. Obviously, India's visiting here to play the cricket against the Australians, so I had my
we don't
void
talk
filled.
cricket on this show, though. But did India win that? I don't even.
It's still going.
Still going. Oh,
yep.
Okay. All right, let's get into some true falsehoods. And I should say at the end of this, we're doing some classic packs. There's been a few people like, oh, we've missed classic packs, you haven't doing it. I know you've got some fresh packs, but
I do.
Got a few interesting NBA, NBL True false for you. So I will say I actually tested these topics out on my daughter yesterday, Woods, and I got some answers from her. But we'll see what you think there. So
okay, sure.
All right, let's go. 5 questions. The Pelicans' injuries this season are as bad as we've ever seen before in an NBA team.
True. I will say that during COVID, though, there was like 8, 9, 10 guys that were like missed out because they tested positive. So the only other time I've seen more guys miss out was when Greg Whittington got handed an NBA debut, right? So,
well, true for me. I feel like we've seen maybe teams towards the end of seasons, right? Teams that aren't going to make the playoffs that suddenly, rest people for an ankle sprain for a month. But yeah, this early on in the season, and some of these injuries aren't good, right? DeJounte got injured in the first game. Zion's apparently going to be out another month now. CJ hasn't been playing for a while. So it's crazy. Some of these names, like literally you need to have Wikipedia open when you're watching a Pelicans game to find out who the heck these guys are. So, all right, nice one. Well, this second one's a team we've already kind of talked about and maybe kind of given an answer, but Philly will recover and still make the playoffs in the poor Eastern Conference.
Oh, I think I already answered that one as true. They will.
Yeah. I'm going to say true as well. So that might mean making the play-in and then getting in there. But yeah, there's too much talent on this team.
They could probably even make the top 6, man. Looking at the East now, it's not inconceivable.
Yeah.
It's about the fitness of those guys. Paul George, Joel Embiid, and even Tyrese Maxey's had some injuries this year. So those 3 got to stay fit, right?
Yeah, sure. Well, the next one I was going to ask you about this tribunal, Wood. So we'll maybe skip this one given it hasn't happened yet. But maybe I'll throw you another NBL sort of related question.
Okay,
there.
sure.
So Chris Golding, will he make All NBL first team this year? I know there was people that wanted to win there last year. You reckon false? Okay.
False.
He'll make an All NBL team though, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That'd be pretty impressive at his age, right? So,
yeah.
All right, nice one. And then a couple more. So this one I'm interested to hear your answer. Taco Fall will dominate with the New Zealand Breakers.
False. This guy hasn't had a job in 2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Not only in the NBA, no one around the world has picked him up and given him a job in 2 years. All right.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that he is the right fit, but let's see. Yeah.
I'll say false as well. I like the fact that they're going to try and play a massive team and try and just dominate like that. But what I can see teams doing, they're going to, say they play, and put my Homer hat on and say they play the Wildcats, right? And you're playing Keanu Pinder at centre, right? What are you going to do with him? You're going to put Pinder out at the 3-point line, try and get Taco on an island there and just let him basically bomb away, right? So, yeah.
Freddie Gillespie had the ability to guard some 4s, even some bigger 3s in this league. He could slide. Yep. And I think Taco Fall is limited in his ability to do that. And in the NBL, you're switching a lot. You need to have your 5 and your 4 man to be able to, adapt. And I
It's
think
not a great
that's
sign
where
that he's injured as well. Like you said, he hasn't played for a couple of years. He's injured now. He's not going to be playing this weekend, so that's not a great sign either. But look, it's interesting for the league, isn't it? It's a name. It's a it'll be the tallest ever player to play in the NBL. So it's exciting, but yeah, it may not be.
it's great from a marketing perspective
It
for
is.
this league and for the
Yeah.
New Zealand Breakers. It'll
Did you
put
see that photo of him and
yeah, I did the
in the
minute
law
ball.
firm there? They sort of recreated that famous photo of Muggsy and Minute Bowl there, sort of holding a ball. That
Yep.
was pretty funny. So what are we talking? 7'6" for Taco, is it? 7'5", 7'6"?
7-5.
7'5", and what are we talking?
Minute's
Parker
nearly
Jackson Cartwright.
Parker Jackson Cartwright's probably 5'10", 5'11.
So we're talking 5. Let's say 5'10". He's probably about your height, right? Maybe a similar height to you, maybe a little bit taller, but yeah. So that was a pretty cool photo. So recommend people check that one out there. So all right, and finally, a Hawks one for us, Wood. So and I'll tell you maybe a little bit of context after you answer it. So the Atlanta Hawks' next statue should be of the late great Dikembe Mutombo.
True.
True, I agree. And the reason this came up, so apparently the Hawks did a poll. They were actually asking sort of season ticket holders and that who they think should be the next statue. So as we know, being there, this year they've only got the Dominique statue there. So there's a whole list of people. Is it Bob Pettit? Is it Lou Hudson, Mutombo? Some people. One of the questions on the poll was no one else deserves it. Some people were saying Trey. Well, I don't think you're going to get a current player.
What about Danny Manning?
No, definitely not. If they did that, they could hopefully melt that statue. It wouldn't be. I prefer a John Concack statue over Danny Manning. But I think the Mutombo one, it's a decent sort of one there. It's a bit of recognition for someone that we've got a retired jersey. He had some real successful times there, and I think it'd make a cool statue, right? You'd have him,
Sure.
his finger would be wagging for sure there.
Absolutely.
Let's just hope if they do it, they go to a different statue maker than the one that made that Dwayne Wade one. So let's hope they sort of get a different person to do that one there. So. All right, nice one. So we'll find out what happens there.
The jersey's retired, isn't it?
It is, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was we got that photo of that. So yeah, Dominique alongside Ted Turner, which is a pretty random one. So Dominique, Mutombo, Ted Turner, Bob Pettit, Lou Hudson, and the retired Hawks jersey. So all right. Well, I appreciate that, Woods. It's a bit of fun doing that. So as I mentioned, classic packs. I know you've had some packs arrive there.
Yeah, so I've got the upper deck.
Ooh,
91, 92 edition.
That's the inaugural ones, right?
Yep.
And
Yep,
these are the ones
this was the
we have
inaugural one.
opened these, have we? We've opened the second year, maybe. But
Yeah, we've done the 92, 93.
these are the ones that had those holograms that were some of my
Yep.
favourite cards ever,
Yes.
those insert holograms. So I've been hoping.
These weren't
to get
easy
one.
to find either. I got 6 of them
Okay.
sent to me. Yeah.
And I should say for people that didn't know at the time, you had your Fleers, your Skywalks, your Hoops. When these came out, these were next level. These were the premium cards to collect there, and they were really nice ones. What do you got?
I've got an all-star card here
Ooh.
for arguably the greatest power forward to ever live, and as you would say, a really good bloke.
Karl Malone, mailman. Oh, I remember these ones. Look how nice that card is, Wood. So that's not an insert, is it? That's just a normal card in that pack.
No.
So was that the All-Star game that Magic got hot? They look like the jerseys they
Yes,
were
it was.
when Magic
It was.
won.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was when he after the announcement, right?
And has it got that premium feel to sort of
Yep.
feel in that card? They feel nice.
Yeah. Quality cardboard.
Nice. Yeah.
So for all our audience who don't know, why do you say that about Karl Malone?
I think that's a bit of a topic that maybe I don't want to discuss. So I recommend people put in Karl Malone legal topics. Safe to say, I think he fathered a child of someone that was definitely underage and it got swept under the carpet. So that's probably all. People can do their homework on that one.
Yep.
Great
We'll leave it at that.
No.
Okay, we've got NBA Slam Dunk Champion checklist. Okay,
So checklist,
who was in the Slam Dunk comp in that year?
So that's Cedric Blindfold Sabalos in that
Yep.
picture, right?
Yep.
Ooh. Stacey Augman.
Stacey Augman. Okay.
David Benoit.
Now, 2 of the greatest dunkers of the early 90s.
Sean Kemp.
Yep.
Grandmama.
Grandmama.
Oh, yeah. LJ. Nice.
Yep. John Starks.
Okay, yep.
Doug West. I forgot how good Doug West was.
I love
man.
Doug West.
He was
Minnesota
at
Timberwolves.
Minnesota. He was such
he was
way
really good.
before his time, man.
Yeah,
That
he was
guy
one of those guys you'd see in the top 10 on NBA action regularly, bit of Doug West action there. So
Yeah, and he could shoot it like
Yeah, he
from
was solid.
yeah.
yeah,
Big fan of his. Blast from the
Nice.
past. Okay,
so that's a
another
checklist,
all-star.
but that's a good checklist. Yeah.
I've got the other all-star card of the man who played his last professional game in this all-star game.
So that's magic.
Yep.
Oh, I just sort of teased that before. That's a nice one to get, isn't it? Yeah, for those that remember, he got hot. They basically let him take all his shots. Karl Malone was a bit of an interesting footnote in that whole Magic thing coming back, wasn't he?
Yep, for sure.
Karl Malone, the great bloke he is, wasn't too keen on playing against Magic. I don't think he was too educated about Magic's HIV diagnosis and those sort of things. But wow, that's a bit of a find to get those two in the same pack.
I still remember where I was. You just talked about how you've got your new swimming pool in your house and that you're using it a lot in the summer, right?
Oh yeah.
It was a Sunday and we were in the swimming pool and my dad, rest in peace to my dad, he yelled out to us. He's like, "Come inside, the All-Star game's on, Magic Johnson's last game." And me and my brother came out of the pool, ran upstairs to the TV and watched it. I remember where I was to
That's
this
awesome.
day.
Good
So,
memories, though. Nice.
okay, I've got a Atlanta Hawks number 41, big center,
Blair Rasmussen.
Blair
Yeah,
Rasmussen.
I was going to get that one.
Yeah.
There. So, wow, he looks pretty big. Is that Moses Maloney's next to there, or maybe
Yep.
not? What's his size and weight, Big Blair?
Oh, that's
He was a
Orlando
big-
Woolridge.
Orlando Woolridge. What's Blair Rasmussen's height and weight? He was a big unit, wasn't he?
7 foot 250.
Wow, that's a big boy. Denver Nuggets, I remember him, were probably with a bit more than the Hawks as well.
On last week's episode, I told you that Dyson Daniels achieved 23 steals in a 4-game period, right? I said the last person to do it in 2016 was Robert Covington. The person before Robert Covington to do it in 1999 was who?
Does that guy be wearing number 21 by any chance?
No, number
No,
13.
so it's not Alvin Robertson.
No,
13 in 99, he set the steals record then.
23 steals in 4-game period. Alvin Robertson's
Kendall
done
Gill.
more. Kendall Gill.
Kendall Gill? Nice. That's a nice card too. Oh man, I love those cards back in the day. Seriously, that's bringing back great memories saying those.
Because it became 25 and he equaled Alvin Robertson's when he got another
Okay.
6 in the next game, but initially it was 23, right? Yeah.
Kendall Gill Hornets jersey would be a nice one to get, wouldn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Rest in peace, Spurs big man, white guy, mad mullet back in the day.
Dwayne Shinsius?
Yep.
Wow. Oh, look at that card. I mean, that just sums it up with that mullet there. What's his height and weight? Is he bigger than Rasmussen, maybe? He's a huge unit.
7 foot 2, 275.
Wow,
And I
that's
think
massive.
he had a battle with cancer or something, died really
Yeah.
young, right?
I wonder how he'd go in today's current
Yeah.
NBA. I would have thought he might struggle a little bit.
Okay, this with the recent news coming out in TikTok about the Menendez brothers, this player was featured on a card, a hoops
Oh,
card, where the
course.
Menendez brothers were sitting in the background. Who is
That's
this
another
player?
number 13, right?
Yep.
Mark Jackson. Nice.
What a great pack.
That is a cool card. So you've got the landscape sort of card on that one. Yeah, they're nice. What does the standard one look like? So you get a totally different picture on the back as well, right? And some stats. I don't like some of these cards now. They're lazy. No pictures on the back. I don't even have their height and weight. That was a big one for me. Was what college did someone go to? How tall they were?
It's got the nice hologram on the back as well.
Yeah.
For it up and
You
down.
know what I'd do? Once I get that out, I'd have the calculator. I'd see the weight and I'd divide by 2.2. I'm like, oh yeah, they're 100 kilos, or something like that. So yeah.
Okay, we've got one-time All-Star from the Warriors. He also made the All-Star team. I think he was at Cleveland when he made the All-Star team. Left-hander from memory. Number 31.
31 left-handed, big guy.
Yeah, big guy, power forward. Let me just double check my. Yes, he made one All-Star team in 1995 with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Same year, Detlef Schrempf made the All-Star game. Played for Golden State.
College.
Went to college at Xavier. First round, 11th overall, picked by the Golden State Warriors in the 1990 draft. It's
Not Chris
Tyrone
Michaels.
Hill.
Tyrone Hill. I don't think he was a left-hander. I think that's what threw me there. So
Yeah, sorry,
no,
my
he
bad.
wasn't a
Yeah, he
lefty.
wasn't a
played
left-hander.
with our
Yeah,
Hawks
yeah.
as well. No, he was really solid.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I would, if you didn't say lefty, that
Yeah.
threw me. But no, he was solid, Tyrone Hill. Absolutely.
Unbelievable shot blocker. One of the greatest. In fact, when we talk about the greatest shot blockers that have ever played, this man often gets slept on. He recently passed away riding his bike about a year or two ago. Utah Jazz center.
Oh, big Mark Eaton, number
Mark
53, the giant man, isn't he? So that's a cool card, isn't it? He was one of the strongest blokes you'll ever see, right? And I think I actually recently saw a photo of him next to Karl Malone Woods, and the size difference was just ridiculous. What's his weight? We've been showing people's weights and that. He'd have to be 290 or something, right?
7'4", 290.
What
And if
just
you-
a mountain of a man. Yeah.
Funniest thing is you look up Draft Express and you look up Rocco Zikarsky's profile and it says player comp and it comes up with Mark Eaton.
Well, big left-handed guys. I think Mark Eaton could probably eat Rocco, I would have thought. There'd be a bit of difference there, but no, that's a cool one to go.
Okay, Mavericks forward, number 33. Really like this guy. Didn't have the longest career, but just stuck around as a role player in the league.
Terry Davis,
No, he's not black.
33. Mike Isley,
He's not black. He is
Randy White.
Randy White.
Yeah, right. Nice.
Yeah.
I love those old Mavs jerseys as well. Picture of
Wow,
Blackman,
wow.
Derek
No
Carpenter.
way. I pulled this.
Not a hologram.
No, I pulled another All-Star card, and you would
Ooh,
never.
nice.
You're gonna want this card once I show it to you.
Well, it's got to be Dominique or Glenn Rice, one of those two. Ooh, very
Dominique
nice.
Wilkins All-Star
Love that.
card.
Love that
Three
card.
All-Stars in the
Three
one
All-Star
pack.
cards in that. What sort of picture we got on the back of that?
This is actually.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, nice. 3 All-Star cards. That's a great get.
No, not 3. We got. I got. Oh, what? I got another All.
What's going
What
on?
the
Special
hell?
All-Star pack.
What the hell? Let me just see.
So you got Magic.
Okay,
you
so
got Carmelo, Dominique.
so there's the insert ones, which are in red,
Ooh,
right,
look at
and
that.
have something on the back,
Yeah.
and then there's a regular card, which have the writings on the back. So
Gotcha.
we've got
2 Magic
we've
Johnsons
got,
in a pack.
we got the both. We got the insert All-Star Magic Johnson, and we got the original Magic Johnson. So what a pack, right?
That is a great pack, isn't it? None of these no names that people have to Wikipedia and
Ah,
stuff
that's as
like
good a
that.
pack
So
as we've pulled. Yeah.
that was fun. You got a few of these packs, right?
Yeah, 6, man. So the next 5. Hopefully the
Where'd
quality
you get
is
that
as
from?
good.
Was that an Aussie seller or overseas? Or?
Man, look, I found these guys online, right? Want cheaper prices than eBay, buy directly from us and get an instant 15% off. So
Pretty
like,
cool.
once I ordered off eBay off them last time, they sent me
Yeah.
this pamphlet, and I thought,
Ah,
you know what,
yeah.
let me try them out. And I'm gonna
Yeah.
use these guys from now. They've got everything,
cool.
bro. I
Nice.
can just go back and look at everything.
Hey, next time you're getting some, get some of those Topps finest ones. Those ones with the
Okay.
peeling, the coat stuff. But
Yeah,
that's-
all right, I'll get
These
them.
have probably got to be one of the best sets around. So
They're on there.
nice.
Yeah, yeah.
I appreciate that, Woods. Looking forward to some NBL to be back this week and sort of get all the games back. I know we both watched a little bit of WNBL, and we'll talk about a little bit about that. We also purchased some WNBL jerseys, Woods, that once they arrive. So we're trying to support the game, right, and everything. So we've
For
got a few
sure.
of them coming. So look, as I mentioned at the start of the show, please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We can be followed on X, Throwbacks Hoops, Instagram, throwback.hoops, and email address, throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. Patreon, Woods, what you got?
Patreon, if you just jump on Patreon and look up Throwback Hoops, you'll be able to find our profile. If you'd like to contribute, we appreciate it.
Appreciate that, Woods. Well, at the end of recording this, I'm going out for a steak dinner. Promised my daughter I've been taking her out for that, so I'm quite looking forward to that. You got any final thoughts? What are you sort of looking forward to in the world of hoops this week?
Just really excited to have the NBL back. You know, the FIBA break finishes. Now we get into a period where it starts to become a little bit more clear who's going to make the playoffs, who's going to make the play-in. It's a very exciting period. And yeah, we've got all the games to watch over the break, you know, over the next few weeks as work breaks up.
Yeah.
It'll give everyone a little bit more time to take in and enjoy some great sport over the summer period.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to. I heard you got some new jerseys as well on the way, some NBA ones. Looking forward to see some random
Yeah, for
ones.
sure.
Looking forward to that. So, well, yeah, really appreciate everyone tuning in for another week. Peace out. Throwback Hoops.
Bye, everyone.